Lawyers across the country are beginning to sound the alarm on something most retirees and seniors never hear about until it's too late. A set of little-known Social Security rules that can quietly slash your monthly checks, sometimes overnight, without a single warning letter arriving in your mailbox. One experienced attorney who has spent decades handling retirement disputes says he has watched countless seniors walk into his office in tears, holding notices that their benefits were suddenly reduced or even suspended, all because of regulations buried deep in the Social Security Administration's rulebook. These aren't the kind of things your local Social Security office is going to sit down and explain to you. And they certainly aren't spelled out in the short pamphlets they hand out when you first apply. Instead, they're hidden in legal jargon, spread across pages of federal code, and enforced without mercy once you cross the line, even if you had no idea you were doing anything wrong. And the scariest part, many of these rules don't just cut into your future benefits. They can claw back money you've already received, putting seniors on the hook for thousands of dollars they thought were theirs to keep. Imagine budgeting your golden years carefully, believing you can finally breathe after decades of work, only to find out that the check you rely on every month could be reduced or taken away because of a technicality you never saw coming. That is exactly why this lawyer is warning older Americans to learn the truth now before it's too late. He says there are 7 specific rules that tend to catch retirees the most, and while each of them is legal and enforceable, they are rarely explained in plain English to the very people whose lives they affect the most. The first of these rules deals with something that shocks almost everyone: continuing to work after you start collecting benefits. Many seniors think they can earn a little extra on the side without consequence. But what they don't realize is that if you claim Social Security before reaching full retirement age, the government sets strict earning limits, and every dollar you make above that limit can slash your monthly checks. It doesn't matter if it's part-time consulting, freelancing, or even helping out a family business. Earn too much, and you'll see those checks shrink, sometimes dramatically. The second rule involves what's known as the windfall elimination provision, a confusing term that hides an even more confusing reality. This rule can cut benefits for anyone who worked a government job or a position that didn't pay into Social Security, even if they also had private sector jobs where they did contribute. It's a shock to teachers, firefighters, and other public servants who assume their years of hard work will be fully recognized, only to discover that their checks are being reduced because of a law they had never even heard of. Then comes the third trap, which has to do with taxes, a subject no one wants to think about in retirement, but absolutely must. Many seniors don't realize that depending on their other sources of income, their Social Security benefits may be taxable. The attorney warns that this creates a domino effect. Not only can unexpected taxes reduce what you keep, but they can also bump you into higher Medicare premium brackets, taking even more out of your check. The fourth secret is something especially cruel because it often punishes widows and widowers at the worst possible time. Survivor benefits, while intended to provide financial relief, are governed by complicated rules that can drastically reduce payments if claimed too early. The attorney recalls clients who were stunned to learn that making the wrong choice just once, filing for survivor benefits before reaching full retirement age, locked them into smaller payments for the rest of their lives. It's not that the information isn't out there. It's that the system is designed in such a confusing way that even smart, careful people make irreversible mistakes. The fifth hidden rule involves divorce, and it's one of the most misunderstood of all. Many divorced spouses are entitled to claim benefits on their ex-spouse's record, but only if they meet strict conditions, such as the marriage having lasted at least 10 years and the individual not remarrying before age 60. Miss those requirements, and you could lose out on thousands of dollars. Even worse, seniors who think they qualify often find themselves blocked because of technicalities buried deep in the law. The sixth warning comes in the form of something most people overlook: overpayments. If the Social Security Administration decides you were overpaid, they have the power to demand repayment, sometimes years later, even if the error wasn't your fault. Seniors have been blindsided with letters demanding tens of thousands of dollars, forced into repayment plans, or had their future checks withheld until the balance was cleared. Finally, the seventh and perhaps most frightening rule is the way your benefits can be garnished. Many seniors don't realize that Social Security is not untouchable, and certain debts, like unpaid federal taxes, student loans, or even child support, can cause the government to dip directly into your check before it ever reaches your bank account. For retirees already living on a tight budget, that can mean choosing between groceries and medication. The lawyer says the worst part is that all of these traps are avoidable if you know the rules ahead of time. But because the system is so complex and the information so poorly explained, too many seniors find themselves caught off guard. That's why he is begging people approaching retirement age, as well as those already collecting, to get educated now. Learn these 7 rules, plan around them, and don't let your financial security slip away overnight. He insists that being proactive isn't just smart. It's essential for protecting your hard-earned benefits. Because at the end of the day, the government is not going to look out for you. You have to look out for yourself. If part 1 of this warning made your heart race, buckle up. Because the second half digs even deeper into the traps most seniors never see coming until their wallets are already lighter. The attorney explains that what makes these 7 rules so devastating isn't just the dollar amounts they strip away. It's the fact that they compound over time. A small reduction in your check today might not feel like the end of the world, but stretch that across years or decades of retirement, and suddenly you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars vanishing into thin air. And that's not money you can simply make back with a weekend job or a side hustle. For many retirees, every penny of Social Security is already spoken for, earmarked for rent, prescriptions, groceries, or even just keeping the lights on. When the government slices into those funds, seniors are left scrambling, sometimes forced to dip into savings they swore they'd never touch, or worse, pile up credit card debt in their golden years. The lawyer recalls one heartbreaking case of a widow who lost nearly 25% of her expected check simply because she filed for benefits too early, not realizing the decision was permanent. Another client, a retired teacher, broke down after discovering her pension from the state would trigger the windfall elimination provision, slashing the Social Security she thought would pad her retirement. She had budgeted carefully, counting every dollar, and suddenly, half of it was gone. It's like they set a trap for you, the lawyer says, and then they smile while you walk right into it. He insists this isn't paranoia, it's policy, and it's written into the system by design. The truth is that Social Security is a government program first, and a lifeline second. And while it was created to help seniors avoid poverty, it is managed in a way that prioritizes rules, regulations, and cost savings over fairness and transparency. That's why even well-meaning people who do everything right on paper can still get blindsided. The attorney is blunt. The Social Security Administration isn't your friend. Their agents are overworked, understaffed, and trained to process claims, not provide strategic advice. If you walk in and ask questions, you may get an answer, but don't expect it to be the answer that protects your long-term financial future. This is why lawyers and financial experts stress that you need to go beyond the surface level. Read the fine print, ask hard questions, and even consult professionals who specialize in navigating this minefield. Because here's the cruel irony. Most of these costly mistakes are entirely preventable. If you know about the earnings limit, you can plan your work schedule and income accordingly. If you understand the windfall elimination provision, you can make smarter decisions about whether and when to file. If you're aware of survivor benefit rules, you can delay your claims strategically and maximize your lifetime income. The catch is that this information is never presented to you in a way that makes it clear or urgent. Instead, it's buried in government websites, written in language that sounds like it was designed to confuse. And by the time you realize what it really means, the damage is already done. The lawyer urges seniors not to assume they're safe just because they've already started collecting. Overpayments and garnishments can strike at any time, even years into retirement. And once the Social Security Administration decides you owe them money, fighting back can feel like David versus Goliath. He points to case after case where seniors were hit with repayment demands for errors that were no fault of their own. In one instance, a woman who had been receiving checks for over a decade was suddenly told she had been overpaid by $36,000, and unless she repaid it, her benefits would be withheld until the balance was settled. She had no savings, no backup, and no way to come up with that kind of money. But none of that mattered. The government simply started deducting from her monthly check. Stories like this are becoming more common, and the lawyer insists the only way to protect yourself is to be proactive, not reactive. That means taking the time now, before retirement, or even during it, to understand how these 7 rules apply to your unique situation. Don't just assume your benefits are safe. Verify it. Don't just collect your check and hope for the best. Plan strategically. And above all, don't fall into the trap of thinking the government will give you a pass if you make a mistake. They won't. He concludes his warning with a powerful reminder. Social Security is supposed to be the bedrock of retirement for millions of Americans. But in reality, it's more like a maze filled with hidden pitfalls. The people who make it through unscathed aren't the ones who trust the system blindly. They're the ones who educate themselves, ask questions, and take control of their financial future. So if you're a senior, or even just approaching retirement age, take this liar's warning seriously. These 7 secret rules are real. They are dangerous, and they have the power to shrink your monthly checks overnight. Don't wait for the shock letter in the mail. Don't wait until your bank account shows a smaller deposit. Learn the rules now. Guard your benefits fiercely, and protect the income you worked your entire life to earn. Because once it's gone, and no one is coming to save you but yourself.